Mackenzie Gaylor.
I'm Abby Glenn.
Today we will be addressing the current issues revolving around the sea, but more importantly, coral bleaching.
Wait, what is coral bleaching?
Coral bleaching is when coral reefs die off and lose their color due to lack of oxygen.
Yes, I know a couple things about coral bleaching.
Did you know that right now 54% of the ocean's floors and coral is bleached, and soon our entire ocean is going to be bleached?
Yes, but diversity of life is commonly found in coral reefs because it provides habitats and protection for wildlife and animals.
Coral reefs start dying off mainly because of the increase and decrease in temperatures.
So what does that mean?
Coral reefs are like bustling underwater cities. Home to thousands of tiny coral creatures, they support at least a quarter of all marine species. These limestone structures are a critical nursing ground for the fish we eat and act as nature's barrier against coastal flooding. They're even thought to have anti-cancer properties, but coral reefs are disappearing. As we continue to burn fossil fuels, the ocean absorbs more CO2 and becomes more acidic, stunting the growth of the coral skeletons. As global warming heats the ocean, corals become stressed, spitting out the algae that live on them and turning white. This bleaching can wipe out entire ecosystems, and humans risk food shortages and economic losses. But there's still hope. Corals can be revived through local restoration, such as planting nursery-grown corals back into reefs. And most importantly, by drastically reducing our fossil fuel emissions, we can allow these underwater wonders to thrive for generations to come.
Abby, that's a great question. That means that coral lives in tropical waters, so when temperatures are increasing and decreasing, that means that they're going to slowly start dying off due to the heat or the cold.
The coral reef in the Philippines is dying. Once vibrant and thriving, they are now facing a crisis. But why? Coral bleaching, runoff pollution, and destructive human activities. And the impact goes beyond marine life. Coastal communities like Mobile rely on these ecosystems for their livelihoods, with fishing and tourism activities, and they too are facing an uncertain future. But luckily, behind the scenes, there are dedicated marine scientists and conservationists working tirelessly to really understand the root causes of coral reef decline and to find ways to reverse the damage. And there's still hope. Initiatives are emerging every day in the Philippines to protect their coral reefs. Restoration projects are growing, more areas are becoming protected, and educational programs are empowering communities. And we can learn from the Filipino people by making sustainable choices of our own, because we can protect these invaluable ecosystems and ensure a brighter future for all.
So what?
So what? Well, we need to care about our coral reefs because of global warming and pollution. They are slowly dying off more and more. The coral reefs provide a habitat for wildlife in case you need to go fishing or if you just want to snorkel to see the fish. This is very crucial and important to our environment.
Losing the coral reefs would be a catastrophe, resulting in 100 million people losing their source of food and income.
From 1988 to the early 2000s is when the issue mainly started to occur, when coral reefs began to die off.
The summer of 1997 to 1998 was the most hottest summer recorded on the reefs.
Across 600 reefs were bleached, and around 54% started to be bleached that summer because of how hot and how increasing the temperatures were.
And in the southern part of the reefs and around the Keppel Islands.
The coral bleaching began to increase when 98% of corals started to bleach.
2016, 22% of the reefs were bleached.
In 2017, the reefs were expecting unpredictable back-to-back coral bleaching,
affecting 2/3 of the Great Barrier Reef.
Great Barrier Reef is one of the most commonly known reefs in the United States, and if that goes extinct, many people will be disappointed because that's people's main thing that they would love to visit when they go on vacation. Home to so much wildlife and so many beautiful colors of coral, it would be a tragedy if it went extinct fully.
Coral bleaching is a really big deal.
Even Willow agrees, it is such a big deal.
The Great Barrier Reef was mostly affected in the year 2017.
It was affected and spread in both years drastically.
1,036 of the reefs were surveyed from the air. Percent suffered moderate to severe damage.
Limited data was collected during COVID-19 because During COVID-19, they didn't have any way to collect data on the coral reefs, so it began to cause another issue, resulting in not being able to have water mobilities.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? You already said that! Well, when coral reefs die and they're bleached off, they rarely come back and they're just dead in general.
reefs take up to a decade to fully recover.
Coral bleaching is much more than just coral dying and losing its color. It's also when coral begins to get stressed because of water temperatures or surrounding predators.
Algae is an important nutrient for coral, but if coral loses algae as a nutrient, then there's going to be a big issue.
Tucked within the stony reef are tiny coral polyps. Inside them, algae make sugars. But if it gets too hot, the algae make toxins. Then the polyps eject the algae, and the coral bleaches white. The algae can return if the water cools soon. Otherwise, the coral often dies. From 2014 to 2017, a bleaching apocalypse killed up to a third of the world's corals.
It's not just about coral surviving. Coral is also the most important thing for the marine ecosystem, and it's the backbone to all life in the ocean.
It turns out that playing the sounds of healthy coral reefs can actually be used to attract baby corals to damaged ones to help rebuild them. So coral reefs that have been damaged by bleaching events, diseases, or direct human impacts are quieter than healthy ones because they don't have the same diversity and richness of organisms living in them. And some new research has found that when coral polyps are in their larval state and swimming around the ocean looking for a place to settle down, they're actually attracted to the sounds of healthy reefs. I definitely didn't think reefs were all that noisy, but it turns out that healthy ones are actually buzzing with life and sound like this. And now compare that to damaged ones which sound more like this. And so researchers found that when playing the sounds of healthy ones in damaged reefs, coral larvae would settle in those areas between 1.7 to 7 times more than they would without the sounds. And some different research from the Great Barrier Reef found that species from multiple levels of the food chain respond to the noises, so this technique can be used to attract all sorts of creatures essential for re-establishing a functioning ecosystem. Let me know down below what other cool techniques you've heard of being used to restore coral reefs.